Hey everyone! So I wanted to come on today. First of all, I am feeling much better, so thank you. I had a very hard time with getting better this time for some reason, but I am about 80% back, so thank you for everybody that reached out and asked how I was doing. It was a rough about a week and a half, I think, altogether, so thank you for that. So today we're going to talk about a couple of the questions that you guys threw out when I asked. And if you're watching this and you didn't notice, on Wednesdays I'm going to ask you guys what it is you would like for me to cover when we talk on Facebook Live on Thursdays. So if you have a specific question, you can post it in the group and just tag me at any time, or you can respond to that question that I'll be posting on Wednesdays just to try to get your feedback and what it is that you guys are struggling with. So I got a couple of questions, so let's dive right in. So I'm actually going to start at the bottom and work backwards. So the one that I get asked a lot about that Shelly actually threw out is, how do I create this content? She's struggling specifically with her website, but I get asked these content creation questions almost daily. People really struggle with how to get content written, how to get it out. Sometimes it's video, sometimes it's audio, sometimes they're trying to create a course, so they have to do workbooks and all of that. But just day to day, we live in a culture where content is so important, and people really struggle with the best ways to get it all out there in a way that is consumable and that is good in the end. And the number one thing that I find that people really struggle with is that they don't have a separate time for their planning than they do for their actual content creation. So what I mean by that is you need to have different times scheduled. And again, I'm talking about scheduled because if you know me, you know that I'm a big believer in having things on your calendar. They're just like an appointment, just like anything else, and your content creation should be one of those things. But you have a different appointment on your calendar for planning for that content than you do the actual content. So this is how it typically happens. I ask a client, tell me about a time you sat down to do content and you ended up not doing anything. What happened? This is what happens. They have a topic they want to write about. They've decided that they would like this image and this image in it. They have a couple things they would like to research. They start to create the image. Oh, I wonder, I should probably look up this article because I don't want to copy it, or I'd like to reference it, right? They start doing research, and before you know it, 2 hours has passed. Those of us who have been on Facebook for any length of time, you know this happens all the time. My number one productivity tip is close Facebook. Close it. If you're trying to create content, close everything else so that you can focus on just creating content. And that means that if you need prep time to create your content, that is a separate appointment on your calendar. If you want to look at, if you're writing content, Shelly asked about writing content for a website. If you're wanting to look at other examples for what you want to put on your website, like you like the way something is laid out or how something is worded, and that starts to get your ideas flowing, then you want to do that kind of research beforehand. You don't want to start off sitting down to write your content out, still having to do all of that prep. That is not the way that you're going to get that done. So that's first. So first, you want to schedule a time to do the content. Secondly, you want to schedule time to do the prep for that content, and they're different things, okay? Next, you really want to batch it. So what you're struggling with is writing content like for a website. One of the things that you'll notice is that if you schedule yourself more time, meaning more time, like a block of time, so instead of 2 hours, you schedule 6 hours, what you'll notice is you'll begin to pick up momentum. It's almost like any other task, is once you get going, your brain realizes what you're doing and you begin to get ideas and things start to flow much easier. I do this for our blogs and any of the content that we create. We actually have a whole day where that's all that I do. And I do it that way because I'm able to produce more, and it picks up a lot more momentum than if I just had a 2 or 3 hour block trying to create all of that. So a lot of people do this in different ways, but I have found that this batching concept works for all of my clients when they do it. Also, outsourcing what you're horrible at. If, for example, I'm really bad at editing. I'm really bad at editing. And I can produce content like nobody's business. But for as long as I have been in the marketing space, I am very aware that I need an editor. So whether that is somebody on that you're going to just hire to do one-offs, so that will also entice you to batch your content. If you hire a freelancer to edit it for you, the more you give them all at one time, obviously the more you're going to get back and be able to start to use. But if you're horrible at editing, don't make that an obstacle to getting your content out. And a lot of people do that. That's not the way to do that. The other thing to really consider is if you hate writing, but you're great on video, then do video instead. If you hate video, but you love doing audio, create some amazing graphics or have them created and do audio. Really do what you're best at. I've found that a lot of the people that struggle with content creation have things that they've put in their way, like they're not good with graphics, so I can't make this article look pretty anyway, and so they end up not doing it. They're not good at editing, and so that ends up being an obstacle in their way, or whatever it is. They're not good at whatever the obstacle is they've created, and so that keeps them from creating content. So figure out ways that you can get around that, and by outsourcing that to somebody else, and by creating content that you're really good at creating. So if you're good on video, do video. And it doesn't have to be super polished $5,000 videos. Obviously Facebook Live is popular because of its rawness. It's popular because it's able to show kind of a day in the life. Like if you're sitting in my office right now, this is what I look like. This is what my office looks like, and there's sunshine sort of through my window, and you get to see all of that, and that's part of the appeal. So don't feel like it needs to be something that's super polished and pretty and all of that. If you want to do video, you can also do audio, and that works much the same way. And those things are the things that have really helped me. And getting examples, if you're writing for your website, if you're trying to write content for your website, find other websites that you admire the person, even if they're in a completely different industry. Look and see how their website feels, what the flow is. A lot of times people really overdo it on the content on their website outside of their blog. Their homepage is just a whole thing of text. Work with me or about me is just a whole thing of text. People don't read all of that. So make it an experience. What do you actually read when you go to somebody's website? Notice that about yourself, because that will greatly help you figure out what it is you actually need to write versus what you have in your head that you need to write. And usually those things are very different. So for content creation, those are my biggest things, is that you want a calendar appointment for the prep, a calendar appointment for the content. You want to batch the content, so that calendar appointment should be, you should work up to it being several hours if possible. Uninterrupted time, that means you close Facebook and your email, your phone goes somewhere else so that you're focused on just this. Content, you can easily lose your train of thought, especially if you're not professional writer. So make sure that you plan knowing what your weaknesses are, knowing where you're going to get distracted and that kind of thing. And if you have an obstacle that you are using to prevent you from getting that content done, try to outsource it. Listen, outsourcing does not have to be expensive. I know most of you are on a budget and you're like, I can't afford to hire people. There are people, if you go on Upwork.com, there are people you can hire that are looking for one-off jobs. There's tons of people in this Facebook group that are amazing editors, and they'll work with you on pricing and stuff like that. So don't allow something that's in your head that you can't afford it be an obstacle to growing your business, because if growing your business is going to produce more revenue for you, then it might be a little bit of an investment, but it's not super expensive. So don't get yourself caught up on that. But if there's an obstacle, if you're not an editor, if you're not a graphic designer, if you can't figure out Canva to save your life, hire somebody else to do it. And if you want recommendations on editing, on graphic design, on any of that kind of stuff, there are people in this group that I can refer you to that I have used personally. Shoot me a message or tag me, better to tag me on inside the Facebook group, and I will give you guys references. So don't let that be a hindrance to you at all. Those are my big tips for content creation. If you're scheduling with something else or struggling with something else in content creation, post your question below the video and I will be checking back. But this is something I get asked all the time. So I definitely wanted to throw this out. So another question that I got asked, and I am actually, now I do not remember who asked it. I think it was Lisa. Yes, so Lisa asked about what the difference is in posting, boosting a post versus Facebook ads. So there's a couple of major differences here. You have a lot more control over an ad than you do over boosting a post. But the biggest difference here is your objective. So an objective with boosting a post is engagement on that post. Okay, so it's likes, comments, maybe shares, but usually likes and comments on that post. Okay, that helps your visibility on Facebook. It helps other people to also like and comment on your post. But if you're trying to drive traffic to a site that's off of Facebook, so you're wanting to drive them to a sales page, you're wanting them to check out a blog, you're wanting them to sign up for a webinar, any of that kind of stuff that people tend to boost post, thinking that boosting post is a way to get traffic to a site that is off Facebook. That's typically not true. What happens is more people see it scrolling through their news feed, but most of the time you're not going to get more traffic to the site off of Facebook. You're going to get more engagement on that particular post. So when you boost a post, the idea is you're boosting that content of that post to get engagement. With ads, you can choose what your objective is. So you can decide that you want to get more traffic to your website. You want to get more conversions on your website. You can also boost a post in ads, but again, boosting a post is for engagement. You can drive traffic to an event sign up, for example. So there's a lot more flexibility and options when you do an ad versus a boosted post. And I talk to a lot of people that, oh, I do Facebook ads, but it doesn't send me any traffic. And most of the time, the reason why it's not sending you any traffic is because you're not really doing ads, you're boosting a post. So it's cost you money either way. But if you're trying to get traffic to a page that's not on Facebook, the best way to do it is to do it through ads. So that's the biggest difference, and why you're going to see some big differences in doing ads versus doing boosted posts. You also have a lot more control as far as being able to switch out your language, your messaging, or your images during the run of the ad. If you boost a post, it's that post. So you can't go in and just change out an image or change a word because it's that post that you're boosting. So that's static. So if you're trying to see like what people respond to, it's much better to have an ad that you can go into the actual ad manager, change out an image or change your audience a little bit. Any of those things, you have a lot more options inside of Ads Manager or Power Editor, which is how I prefer to do it, than you do if you're just boosting a post. So hopefully that will answer that question for you. On that, that's another one I get asked a lot. It's really confusing, and Facebook makes it so easy to boost a post that people don't understand that all they're really doing is boosting engagement on that post. It has not very, very little to do with whether or not you're going to get traffic to the link that you're talking about in your post. So just so that you're aware. It's not that it's completely useless. It's good to get some engagement, but you just want to know what your objective is. And most people are spending money to get people to their website or to sign up for something. They're not spending money just to get another like on a post. So it just depends on what your objective is. All right, so the other question is a question from Asha, and I'm going to have to extend to you guys a couple of examples of what I'm about to talk about, so I'll post them for you guys. But Asha asked about how to have a call to action, or what kind of call to action you can have on a Facebook Live video. Or live videos in general. So the best way to do this, and I don't do this in this group because this is for you guys, this is training, but like I said, I'll give you guys a couple of examples in the comments below. I'll go find them. But the best way to do a call to action on anything live, so Periscope, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Blab, any of that stuff, is to start and end with a very specific call to action. So something like this. Hey guys, today we're going to talk about Facebook ads. If you want to find out more about Facebook ads, go to significantlysuccessful.com/FB-ads and download your free checklist to make sure that you're doing Facebook ads correctly. I don't have that, so don't go to that. But just for example, right? And then on that particular landing page, acknowledge the fact they came from live video. So if you're somebody that does live video in a bunch of different places, you can just say, thank you for joining me live today. Click here to download your free report. That way you're getting their email address, but the cohesion between knowing where they came from, because that's the only place you're giving that URL, will increase your conversions dramatically. So the best way to use live is to have a specific landing page. You can do this on lead pages. You can do it on Divi themes on your website or on Thrive themes. Create a landing page specifically for whatever it is that you're talking about live. Now, if you do it every day or once a week or whatever, try to maybe tie something in. So like Asha, for example, is amazing working with women on mindset. So do something that you could use and use it over and over again, so that you're not having to recreate it. Content creation is a beast, as we were talking about earlier. So you can like I have one that I use all the time. It's 8 secret places to find content to post on social media. So if I'm doing anything social media related, I could use that. And then all I need to do is that landing page that has that live, thank you for joining me live today or whatever. But having something like that is the best way to capitalize on the people joining you live or watching you live later on. As most people understand that if they're watching a replay that it was live. And so having that tie-in on the landing page will get a lot more people to sign up. You can also with Facebook Live on your pages, you can go in and edit them. You can add a thumbnail there, and you can also add a URL there. So I would add whatever your opt-in is to that as well. And that way you're going to have a couple different places that they can click on it and see it. That's the best way I have found to be able to have a real call to action. Obviously, if you're doing live toward a membership, which Asha, that might have been your thought process is, how do I do this? So you can do that to talk about, whatever the product is, give some real value, be sure that you're giving value. That is going to be the key with anything that you're doing live, is about relationships and giving that value. So to make sure that you do offer that, but give that value and then give them the URL to that sales page and say, today we've talked about some of the ways that I'm going to be addressing some of these things inside of my membership. So go to, this URL and give them that. You can do that as well. The mistake I have found is when people send people straight to a sales page and that's all their video is about. So you don't want to do that. But if you can have where you and acknowledge the fact you're sending them to an opt-in. Yes, you'll have to give me your email. That's part of the gig. I always do that. I say, I tell people I have a freebie section on my website. If you go to significantlysuccessful.com/freebies, I have like 8 or 9 things there that you can download. You give me your email once and you can download them all. But you do have to give me your email. That's just how the game is played, and I don't really apologize for it. And you don't need to either. Anybody that's watching you live is, for the most part, going to understand that any kind of value is given for exchange for an email. But that's the way that I would do the call to action. Also, on the other side of that, if you are going to use live video as part of your launching for going into a membership or something like that, make sure that you have your follow-up emails in place so that they immediately get whatever it is you've promised them. And then over the next 2 or 3 days, they get an email from you that tells them a little bit about you and what you do. And then on the third email, you can begin pitching them whatever it is that you have to offer. If they don't buy it or they don't want to join or whatever, then you want to move them into a list that will allow you to continue to send value-driven emails to them. One of the mistakes that people make is having a landing page and having it set up so that they get the report, but then they don't ever hear from you outside of that. You don't want that to happen. The whole idea of an email list is to build that relationship, get them used to opening emails from you. So make sure you have those in place. And so one other note on that, your emails need to be short. People are opening their emails on mobile devices. So that means 300 to 400 words. That doesn't take very long to write, and it makes it very easy to read. So when you do these follow-ups, they don't need to be these epic, long, crazy emails. Like some of the gurus that you see have literally like 6 pages of email. It doesn't need to be that. It will work against you if they don't know who you are yet, and the first email they get from you is crazy long. So keep that in mind. It doesn't have to be this ridiculous, massive task that you have to undertake to write these follow-up emails. I think that's all the questions that I had that I asked. So guys, if you have questions for next week, anything that you want me to cover, I am going to have I've got two guest experts that I'm going to be featuring here shortly. One is going to be graphics, and that is from the creator of Relay That, which is an awesome tool. If you haven't checked it out, relaythat.com, makes you look like a designer. Has a little more functionality than Canva, a lot more templates available than Canva. He's in our group. His name is Craig, and he's offered to do a little training with us, so we're going to see if we can set that up. And then I also have someone in the group that is amazing at PR, and she's going to come on and give some of her tips for the best way small businesses can get some visibility and PR. She's a real PR person, not somebody who has decided that that's the space they want to go into and then tells the world that they can train them on it. I've actually worked with her with clients that are not online businesses at all, that have gotten some really good traction. So I'm really excited about that. Her name is Lara, and she's in California, and she's amazing. She's just featured in Forbes and some other stuff, so she's awesome. So I'm going to have her come on. So if you guys have questions specifically about graphics or PR, be sure you post them in the group so that we can cover them for you. So today we talked about content creation. We talked about Facebook ads, the difference between an ad and a boosted post. And we talked about how to create a call to action with live video. So hopefully those were very helpful for you guys. If you have any questions about what I have covered today, feel free to post the questions below. Otherwise, I'll be back next Thursday. I'm here every Thursday at 4:30. So feel free to post your questions here. A couple of Thursdays from now, it might be, I have a hair appointment, so I'm thinking I might do it in the salon there, so that'll be fun. So if you guys have any questions about what we talked about, please feel free to post below. I will be checking back. And any questions for next week that you would like me to cover, go ahead and put those in the group as well, and we'll make sure that I get to them. I can usually do 3 or 4 questions, so don't get nervous if somebody else posts something. I talk fast, so you guys have to listen fast. So that's all I have for you guys today. Again, thank you for everybody that checked in on me while I was not feeling well, and I will see you guys next week.